Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. And guess what? It's Bass Synth Day. So, we just kind of messing around with different bass synths. All these ones I'm doing right now, you can actually find in my C4 synth pack on my Patreon if you would like to just not have to fiddle around and program. I know the C4 of my source audio sometimes is a lot to try to figure out. So, I made it easy. I made an entire 38-piece pack for you guys. 38 of my presets are on there, straight up off my C4 pedal. You can literally just import them, and bam. But just so you guys can... So... You know, just so you know, the C4 ain't no game, you know what I'm saying? It can keep up with the keyboard. Yeah. Pick another one out. And I'm just grabbing these randomly. Get you something close. mind you, the C4 I'm running in mono. It can be ran in stereo. So the keyboard is actually running stereo right now. So, that's a slight advantage to the keyboard at the moment. But as you can see, you could really get some of those really old school synths with the bass synth sounds with the C4, and it tracks really well. It's just, if you don't know how to set up a synth, it is going to be a huge learning curve for you. If you're not too good with sound design and stuff like that, it's going to be a huge curve. But if you just download my pack, you can instantly you get plenty of different types of synths in here. So the C4, is a great way to get you some nice bass synths very easily and carry a bunch of different sounds that you can even get an external MIDI controller or something like that, and it allow you to control this pedal. Pretty much the way I'm doing it right now is I'm just using my phone, and I got it hooked up to this, which is just like a multi, USB multi-tap thing. And pretty much I'm just running that, and I also have the Spectrum over there, this purple pedal, running to my phone as well, so I can control them both with the Neural app by Source Audio. But pretty much this Source Audio pedal is like taking this giant keyboard and just putting it on in a pedal form and putting it on your pedal board. And I can literally, the same way I can scroll through here and change sounds. You can actually create sounds like that with the C4 as well, with the sequencer or things like that. So it's not even difficult. Nice square wave. I may even go through But, as a bassist, I don't necessarily want the exact sound of a keyboard. I like having, like these little special sounds, that you can only create, from things. Sometimes I do things like this Poly Blue. You run that. Let me see. Well, first off, if you got something like a Zoom MS-60B Plus, I also have a pack for that. 20 presets that's available on the Patreon. But it actually has a nice bass synth pedals on here that I've created presets for you guys. Let's hear a little bit of that. You know, a lot of times we're trying to emulate the keyboard stuff when we have sounds like that are actually really difficult for a keyboard to sound like that. You know, just as difficult as it is to get some of these sounds. Without actually using the actual keyboard engine itself of that, But the thing I like about the C4, and it gives you a variety of those bass synth sounds compared to the source audio pedal. It gives you, to the Zoom pedal. The Zoom pedal is like more of an all-around pedal, but it doesn't allow you to really, get into the different sounds of a synth like the C4 does, right? But, I got quite a little variety on there. So just with the Zoom, that's just really with the Zoom MS-60B Plus, and all those sounds are included in that pack that I have on Patreon as well. All these synth-based sounds. If you're on a budget, and they on sale right now, so it's a great time to grab one of those. So that's just the Zoom MS-60B Plus. You ain't got to worry about trying to fiddle around and figure it out. You can just download that pack. I think the pack like $15, $20 on the Patreon. If you want to support, hit that like button while y'all here. We giving you guys all types of different ways to get to different bass sounds. Sometimes it ain't having a million pedals. Sometimes it's having the right pedals for you, And so we're going to go back to the Source Audio C4 synth in a little bit, but I feel like that's, of course, out of everything is the most obvious thing, MS-60B Plus by itself. It's just crazy. It's a great little unit. Great little unit. And I definitely included quite a few bass synth patches in that list of 20. You run something like that into some reverb and delay. So you can solo with it. It's really good. It's got some really good stuff in there. So the Zoom MS-60B Plus definitely is a great choice for the synth-based stuff as well, you know. As well as you get just regular old bass sounds in there, distortion, overdrive, modulations, delay, reverb. You even get preamps, and then really good preamps at that, compressors, a little bit of everything in there. So the MS-60B Plus is definitely a valuable option for synth-based stuff, especially if you're on a budget. They on sale for like $100 right now, which is insane. You know, you get 6 effects at a time with that. It takes up one pedal slot on your pedal board. It's the size of a regular pedal, you know. This red one here, if you're not familiar. And it also, you can use it with the app as well. So, but all that stuff is already pre-programmed in there. And if you download the list, you know, or download the preset pack on Patreon for the MS-60B Plus, all that's already in there. So, let's get back to it here. Another thing, I love the Poly Blue. You don't really hear people talking about it too much for some reason. I'm not sure why, but just that by itself. Hold on, let me give it to you. So just right off the back, the Poly Blue is just fire by itself. Like, even with it just doing that, like, you know, then you can also, you get 4 voices with that. So you get You get, of course, your dry signal. You get an octave up. You get a 2 octave up, and an octave down, and 2 octaves down with that. And you get a distortion, mono and polyphonic mode. Plus, you get modulation with either tremolo or phaser, depending on which mode you're in. In mono mode, you get this nice thick phaser. And that's just turning it on a little bit, you know. Let's go through it. And you also get distortion in there. You can throw some fuzz on that, which is going to turn you from like a sine wave type sound to more of a, say you got an MXR bass envelope filter. You run that into there. Or you can run it into something like the C4 filters. Take the warp phaser off there. So we're running into a low pass filter on the MS-70 CDR Plus. Is a great pedal to have. To like it enhance any setup you got going on. So you know that's the blue one. So they look like together the MS-70 CDR Plus and the MS-60B Plus look like Wii controllers. I mean not Wii controllers. The Nintendo Switch controllers together, but the blue one is the MS-70 CDR Plus, and that one has all types of filters, modulations, delays, reverb, a lot of delays and reverbs, like all your favorite joints you'll be able to get out of it, and they're really good too. But some really great filters as well. So I can do things like get some really nice, massive bass sounds out of that. And that's literally just the Poly Blue, MXR Poly Blue. This beautiful paint job on that joint. My favorite paint job on any pedal. Poly Blue looks amazing. I got to get me, I want a car painted that color. That with that sparkle, that looks amazing. But that and the MS-70 CDR Plus, just a killer. Killer option. So that's literally just those 2 pedals, but you can add up to 6 additional effects with the MS-70 CDR Plus. So that makes it, when you're talking about synth, you're gonna need a few things. If you got like a MXR Poly Blue by itself, luckily it already has distortion in there. But the only thing I don't like about it is you can't control how much. So you can't control the mix, and you can control the overall volume of the distortion channel separately, but you cannot control the mix of it, and you can't control the gain of it. So it always sounds like that distorted. So if you want to really maximize stuff, you can use a separate distortion pedal. Like from the MS-60B Plus, which I'm using here. I'm actually, one of my favorite drives on there is the Blueberry drive. And it definitely just has a nice sound to it. Let me see, just that and the but it just adds a bit of warmth and like distortion to it. Very nice warm overdrive. Then you kick on a low pass filter on there and like a swell vibrato. So again, the Poly Blue is definitely an option. It's an option for sure. In terms of getting that synth bass sound in mono mode, it definitely gets you right there. Like it's you really don't have to do much, And this is just a tip for any pedal that needs to track your bass playing, like a synth pedal or an octaver. You want to cut the bass frequencies on your bass. So for instance, I have bass, treble, and mids here. So I boosted the high mids, and I have the treble flat, and I have the bass knob pretty much rolled off to about only maybe 20 or 30% of what it was. So from the middle, it's about halfway from the middle notch to off, or zero, completely turned down. So actually, let me see. So my bass tends to sound like this. Which allows the pedals to track better. Might even have more in the mid range because of it's mostly listening for those upper mid range to really give you the definition of the note. So without the pedal, Sounds really thin, but when you're running into an octaver, it's going to allow it to track better without being all inconsistent. And then it's more of a thing of your actual technique of your playing. Make sure you're properly muting and things like that. So, you know, because a lot of these are monophonic. And I know sometimes it seems like monophonic stuff is limited because you can only play one note at a time. But a lot of synth-based stuff is monophonic. You know, typically even on keyboards, like that's rare that you see. I'm playing a chord, but it's not going to play it. Only that's a bass patch. See, playing chords not the same. So just typically, that's just how it typically works. Make sure I hit that like button. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. You know, but while you're here, go and hit that like button for me because I appreciate it a lot. But yeah, so something like and mind you, the Zoom MS-60B Plus has octavers on it too. It's just the Poly Blue has a special. I love the way it sounds. Like, just me personally, it definitely sounds blue compared to the Boss OC5 sounding brown. And I know that sounds weird, but I'll give you an example. In the OC5, I actually love the OC5 in octave, in poly mode with just the octave down. Or in vintage mode. Vintage mode, you have to push it a little more. You know, that versus the Poly Blue. Try to keep the let me turn these up a bit. All right. So you can make a synth out of any of those, you know, and it gives you options though to have different octavers, and even the Hog 2 is going to give you a completely, or like electroharmonics. They just came out, electroharmonic just came out with the Pog 3, you know, all that stuff. It's a little pricey, I mean, for an octaver for me, you know, but we're going to let them do that. It does a lot now, but I'm going to stick with my Hog 2 for now. So let's take all this stuff out. Bam, bam, bam. Just a slight little build in there. So, each one has its own flavor to it, and that allows you to essentially create different things. Now, because these octavers, nowadays are really advanced, you get things like an octave up you can add in there to each of them. And what that does is if you add an octave up, so no dry signal, octave down, octave up, primarily octave down, but you'll have some octave up in there. Let's just turn it about half the volume for now of the octave down, and that gives you this nice that's the hog 2. Let's see if turn that. I'd rather have that up. And the filter that you have running, in terms of the hog 2, I got this filter here, filter section here. So I just put the filter around half, the cutoff frequency around half of from the top. But you get a nice octave down sound there. Yeah, you definitely need to have some good, decent headphones with you, to hear this stuff like completely, because it is synth bass. It's in a lower sub frequency. So, now let's put some. That's the OC5. OC5, Poly Blue. And so, coincidentally, when I was doing this pack for the C4, I included my clone of my Poly Blue. So I did a setting that's pretty much sounds, extremely close to that MXR Poly Blue. So just something to get you extremely close to that. And I also did a setting that gets you close to that OC5 in vintage mode. Let me see, where is it? mode, bam. So C4. OC5. And I got another version of that setting for the C4 that has a little bit more booty. So, you know, when creating synth-based sounds, you need different tools like that as a basis to get you close to what you're trying to get to, you know, in terms of sound-wise. You know, let's see what we got here. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button wherever you are. I appreciate all y'all hanging out with me on all the different platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Appreciate all y'all. So this is the thing, you know, when you creating different bass synth sounds, you know, it's nice to have different options, you know. And if you don't want to have to bow these different pedals, say you don't use synth bass that much, I would recommend just getting you something like the Source Audio C4 synth and going to my Patreon and getting the preset pack of that 38, you know what I'm saying? And that's going, you ain't even got to fiddle around trying to get to these different sounds, you know, or trying to, you know, buy every single pedal that I'm going through now. You know, you can pretty much get really close to the monophonic sounds with the C4 synth. Now, if you're going to be doing that, one of the main reasons I have that is so I can have an octave down that just on the lower part of my chords and the octave up on the whole chord and things like that. So it allows some different things that the Hog doesn't do. The Hog does things that the OC5 and the Poly Blue can't do. But they each have their own tone and special little thing about them. You know, this Hog 2, you can literally almost score a whole movie with the Hog 2 by itself if you know what you're doing. And I mean, you can get every, like, it's called a harmonic octave generator, you know, which is a guitar synthesizer. So it's actually a synthesizer even more than just an octave pedal because of all the different sounds you can do with it. Including things like we're gonna have this one here. This expression pedal. Which expression pedal is that on? Oh, here we go. So a pedal like the Hog 2 is going to really allow for some flexibility in your playing. Yes, and it's a pricier pedal, but you probably could find them used now for about $300. Probably somewhere around there. I would say about $300. You can find them $350. You're gonna want to get that the memory pedal to go with it. You know, if they have it, that would be a great option because then you can store sounds. Like you can go from a sound like this and change the decay or the attack and different things like that. Where, say, you want more of that percussive organ sound. So you can literally, you know, have all your freeze options, all that good stuff in there with the Hog 2. It's amazing, an amazing pedal, and so many options. You know, look at all these different voices you can have, different octaves. It's set up exactly like an organ is. I happen to play organ, so it made it pretty easy for me to, you know what sounds I was going for and how to get new sounds. But it's definitely one of my favorite pedals for synth-based stuff, or just like any type of stuff. Pads, literally do any type of sound with this thing, and it sounds great. So Hog 2 is an option. These are all different synth-based options. So far we talked about the Source Audio C4 synth. We're going back to that because it's a lot to cover in that. But then we talked about octavers. And, well, we talked about multi-effects that also work. The Zoom B6 has some really good stuff. And the Zoom B6 stuff is actually just twice the sample rate of the multi-stomp pedal. So this one's running at 88.2 kilohertz, and this one's running at 44.1 kilohertz. They're both running at 24-bit. Well, no, the B6 is running at 32-bit float as well. So the B6 is quite a step up in quality in terms of same effects. Like, you know, the preamps on the B6 are going to sound like they sound really, really good. Like, even they have, people don't know this, they even have a Noble on here in the DI section. The Tube 1 is actually like a Noble clone. Tube 2 is the Red DI or the Ready DI. So Tube 2, the DI type, and then the solid state one, I believe that's some type of studio console, probably a Neve, and probably a 1073 style preamp type thing. Then the solid state one is like a Neve DI box. So on this pedal, you got options too, but pretty much the multi-effects units, like I said, are great options because they give you so many extra slots to do stuff. So if you have an MS-60B plus, the Z synth on there is really good. You know, you can use that to create some very nice synth-based stuff. Like I said, if you don't want to do that, you can go to the Patreon and download my preset pack for the Zoom MS-60B plus. I got packs for pretty much all these pedals, or coming out with them. Zoom B6, I got a 20-piece pack for that, and that includes bass synths, bass amp setups. The C4, I just released a 38 preset pack for that. That's different bass sounds, you know. And they track really well. I spent a lot of time making sure these tracked right. And, you know, I got quite a few different So I went through and got you some really killing bass sounds on here. I hit a bottom. Yeah. Just nastiness. The other cool thing you could do, if you happen to have something like the deep freeze lying around, this little white pedal down here on the floor right here, um, you can just use it like a regular freeze pedal. Now you can use it in auto mode. It's in auto mode right now. I would recommend using the foot switch. I'd rather use a little bit of the speed on that. Use a smidge of this glissando as well. using it like a sustain pedal for you. If you need to do an intro or something, say you got an intro and it's just a one note intro, you know, something, or you starting the show. You know, or you can use something if you got like the Hog 2, something like that, also do it for you. Oh, wrong one, sorry. Recommend just using the actual foot switch, like, you know, something that has a foot switch versus like using something that's just gonna, like the freeze and the deep freeze, and even this switch here on the Hog 2 allows you to, let me see. Glitch out sometimes, but you know, if you try to move too fast with it, but that's just because it's monophonic. But yeah, more keyboard like, you know, stuff you can do. MXR layers is another pedal that's really good at, you know, adding a bunch of different flavors. MXR has been doing a great job of just kind of mixing their pedals together, you know, and I kind of like what they're doing, you know, with the Poly Blue and the MXR layers. Pedals like that are amazing, as well as their staples like the bass envelope filter, you know. But yeah, so let's see. It just allows you some creamy synths with this. It tracks really well. It tracks well. You just got to play really cleanly. You know, you can't be fiddle fatting around. You know what I'm saying? You actually have to play cleanly. You know, that's going to be, especially with all these sounds. Though I did make them so you can, a lot of them you can still get your ghost notes in. A lot of times I don't like playing these synth bass pedals because I can't do basic stuff that I can't just play bass the way I would normally play bass. You know, I have to alter my playing so much. But with this pedal, you just have to play cleanly. You know, especially the way I have these patches set up. They're set up for you to be able to play. So they're set up for you to play. You just have to play cleanly. And, you know, you can still even get your ghost notes in. I even made it easier for the octaves. I know it's still, if you play the octaves on top of each other, it won't register. But it's because it's monophonic the same way. See, even with the keyboard, if it's in monophonic mode, it's gonna pick whatever the last note. It's picking whichever out of these 3 or 4 notes that it wants to play. So it tracks very well, and that's my my version of saw bass on there. And I tried to make sure patches sing and different things like that. And I even did some stuff for your pads. In case you want something a little different in there too, you know. In any pack I do is gonna have a little bit of variety to it, you know. At the very least, I can't just give you one thing, you know. I mean, you never just need one thing when it comes to sounds, and especially as bassists, we don't have ain't too many people that's creating the presets for us like that. You know, a lot of the companies, they just kind of do it as an afterthought, in my opinion. A lot of the bass presets that you'll get on stuff be very mediocre, even if it's a product. You know, they just don't invest the time into the bass stuff. So it was nice that with the C4 synth, you know, and some other pedals, you know, thanks to me, you know, I appreciate it. Shout out to me, you know, I appreciate that. But, you know, you can just get the preset packs now. Just go to the Patreon, like I said, all 38 presets available. I'm gonna keep going through some more on the C4 synth, you know, but even the stuff from the Zoom MS-60B Plus, which is on sale right now for like $100. 20 of those presets on there. The Zoom B6 got some of the bass synths on there in that preset pack that's available on Patreon. And just so you know, I got 11 different preamp packs for the ToneX series stuff available on the Patreon, along with my personal preset pack off of my ToneX One, which is that little small pedal there. So all these different Magellan, Gensler Magellan, Aguilar AG preamp, Eden WT AG, Ampeg SGT, Little Mark III, by Mark Bass, Ampeg BA series here. All this stuff is available in packs on my Patreon. So if you want to support the channel, you can just go there now, subscribe there. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button if you haven't already. But yeah, we're just going through different ways of getting nice synth bass sounds while playing bass, because essentially nobody wants to have to carry around no whole keyboard to do, especially if the whole gig doesn't really require that. And every gig ain't $1 million gig, so you don't feel like taking a lot of equipment with you. So this C4 synth allows you a lot of flexibility, especially if you have this pack. All types of stuff in there. So it makes you want to play stuff. You're running it with some delays and stuff like that just makes it a lot of fun, So just so you guys know, just some bass synth tips in general. You got pretty much for most basses, you got three to four different parts of your sound that you'll be working with a bass synth. Pretty much your oscillator sound or octave sound. In our case, a lot of times we'll use stuff like a Poly Blue or OC5 that gets you your octave, or different octave oscillators type sounds, and you can even run those into distortion to make them more, take them from more of a sine wave to a, more of a saw wave, and then you run that into a, you can, depend on what you need. If you want something smoother, you can leave them like that, run them through a filter. If you want something grittier, you put some distortion or overdrive or fuzz there, gated fuzz or whatever you want to use, or bit crushers work in place of distortions as well. Run that into a filter of some sort. Typically a low pass filter works well, 2-pole, 4-pole, and if you have a C4 synth, you even get a 6-pole in there. So those filters work extremely well for bass sounds. then you can run it into a modulation like a phaser or a tremolo. Vibrato works well, especially if you have a vibrato with a pre-delay on it. So basically the sound to pass through normal and then it'll do the vibrato. That works particularly well for bass synth sounds as well. Chorus, of course, you can use detune. Detune is a very, very nice. Let me see which one of these. One of these got some detune on it. Let's go with a brighter sound. That way we can. Right? And we can throw some detune on that. Where's the detune? That's phaser. And let me put it there. I'm going to pull up a detune. Give me 1 second. Hit that like button while you're here. Appreciate y'all. Pull up the bass detune on the MS-70 CDR Plus. Hear how much the detune just adds to that sound, and even this has detune on it as well, which is it just takes pretty much a copy of the signal and either slightly makes it sharp or slightly makes it flat, and it creates a nice chorus sound, nice thick, like you're hearing now. Now take it off. Great bass sound, but you add it on, it's like it adds some depth to the sound. And notice how the C4 is just so heavy. Like, this is a regular bass synth. I got these settings heavy. You need to bring your keyboard, unless you're not playing cleanly and it's making that little noise, then they might complain. But these things sound like a high-end synthesizer, like a Moog or something like that. Now this keyboard is running stereo. This is running, you can run stereo out of the C4 synth as well, but it's running in mono mode right now. Versus see, let me match the volume. So, and that's not, it's not like I was trying to copy the sound of the keyboard into the C4. So, I mean, that's not the point of me doing it. I'm just showing you how heavy the C4 sounds can get compared to even a regular, even compared to a keyboard. Like, they sound really good when they're dialed in. You have to, but it took hours. It took literally like a day or two for me to dial all 38 of these in. To where they sound like that. You could run any of these into detune and this is going to sound. And all I'm doing is running them into detune. Detune is an amazing effect. So I love this joint. This C4 is crazy. It took me a long time to get on board with it because simply when I would hear people play it, it was just too much glitching. Like every time I would hear the pedal, it was a lot of missed notes and stuff, and it didn't seem like it tracked well. And for me, like some of the sounds sounded like everything sounded like a galactic fart sound. Like, it didn't have any smooth bass synth sounds like these. It took me, a long time to dial these in. I even got like a little solo. That's my solo cat sound. I put that in there. It's in the pack too. Solo cat, and you got the solo mouse. Got a few. Got close to a chicoria sound I used to love. Where is it at? Close to it now. Don't be one of them people. That's not it, but that's it. Run that into some delay and reverb. So, got a lot of stuff in here in this 38 patch list. Try to give you some just straight up brass type stuff as well, and everything is, like I said, everything is not a so you can use them, you got plenty of flexibility with these sounds. You gotta love pedals, man. They just they give you so much flexibility in your sound as a bassist or as a guitarist. It gives us. It's like I've always looked at them like, almost like a big modular synth type thing. So like all together, all these pedals together, is what pretty much a keyboard is. Or multiple keyboards are. It's different keyboards a lot of times. You have your oscillators, your different things like that, or your samples or whatever it's using. And, you're pretty much manipulating those different sounds in different ways to get different, different textures or different pads or, just different soundscapes and period. So I look at the pedals like that as well. I have my filter section. So this is my filter block, and Here's like a lot of my synth stuff right here. The reason I have this board, smaller board, set up like this, which is like a combination of everything, is because this is like my main little solo board. I mean, bass rig right now. So this stuff here, but and I have this whole board over here is pretty much synth, and loopers. So all these things together, is how you get nice bass synth sounds. If you want like the ultimate variety of bass synth sounds, I would say the C4 though gets you, if you on a budget, right? You're on an extreme budget, and you still want some bass synths. Get you a Zoom MS-60B Plus. It's gonna not just be bass synths. It's gonna have a little bit of everything that you'll need as a bassist, including a tuner and everything else. So if you can step up from that, and you already got stuff like preamps or compressors, things, the essentials, but you're looking to get into a nice synth bass pedal, the Source Audio C4 synth is definitely a great option. Now, if you want to go the more expensive and experimenting route, even more experimental, I feel like, you can get your individual octavers. They typically run you from $100 to $400 or $500, depending on what type of octaver you're getting and what's the use. I would highly recommend that you do not just get what you see other people playing. I would say, try out some different stuff. It's okay to order a pedal and send it back. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like it, you don't have to keep it. Send it back and try something, different sounds. And it's okay to like more than one thing too. I see a lot of people that get caught up on having an OC2 sound. Like the OC, nobody in the audience knows the difference between the OC2 and anything else. So what they care about is how you use it and how you make it sound. It's more important whose hand it's in than it is the actual individual. All this, I need an OC2 from not the 90s and all the expensive stuff. It can get very expensive trying to keep up with what everybody quote says it sounds good or sounds the best. But if you just use what you have, or if you use what's in your price range, you'll be able to definitely find plenty of things like I said, the MS-60B Plus is $100 right now, and it's going to give you octavers in there, and I would actually recommend you get something. If you don't have any pedals, get something like that, and then it'll actually allow you to experiment before you start buying pedals for a pedal board, because it gives you 6 slots. So right out the gate, it's going to have you learning pedal effects order and why that's important. Like, your octavers go first. Then, or you might have a compressor before that. You might have a compressor or something, or EQ first, and then run that into your octave or your synth pedals, and then run that into your distortion, overdrive, and fuzzes. Then run that into your filters. Then run that into your modulation section of your board, which may be chorus, delay, tremolo, vibrato, phaser, flanger, any of that stuff. You run that after the filter typically. You can run it before or after the filter. You can experiment which one you like more. But having something like a little small multi-effects unit allows you to do that before you have to put out all this money into buying all these individual pedals. Pedals are not cheap. Like I said, the Electro Harmonics POG 3 is like $600-$700. That's not cheap. That's almost a stack for an octaver. It's like half a stack for an octaver. Granted, it's a really nice octaver, but this C4. And if you got a low budget, you could take the MS-70 CDR Plus and the C4 synth and that's going to give you pretty much everything you will need in terms of synth bass stuff. I mean, like literally everything at that point. Now, if you want to step up to something like a Hog 2, you can find one used for about $350. These are amazing because you can do so much more than just bass sounds with them. You know, you can, like I said, you could score a whole movie with a Hog 2 and some delay and reverbs. I promise you could do it. Like, and you know, maybe add some different modulations in there, but you could definitely get some huge mileage out of that. The OC5, I would say, if you want something that's going to allow you to play chordal things like really well, OC5 is definitely going to be an invaluable tool with you. It's the only one that has like keeps that sub octave below a certain frequency, and what I mean is I can set it up. Where is it? So bam, bam. Set it up something like that. So that octave's only right there. So only on the lower register is the you know, the octave down kicking in, which is very useful for chords. It makes for a really nice wide chord. You know, when you got an octave down, the dry signal, and octave up. So you know that's if you need something like that and you need synth bass sounds, OC5 definitely would be a great option for you, and it's in the price range about $150, $200. So that would be a great investment if you're in the synth bass or and chordal playing. You know, if you wanted an octaver that's versatile but on a budget, OC5. Now, if you want an octaver that's going to give you, in my opinion, the best synth bass sound, I would go with an MXR Poly Blue. I love the sound of that joint in mono mode. It sounds so good. Just that nice warm. It just puts a smile on my face. Yeah, well, a smile on my face. Hit that like button. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And make sure y'all hitting that like button wherever you are. Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, all that good stuff. You guys are amazing. Of course. What's going on with this Instagram? It's always one acting up, ain't it? So, yeah. Different octave pedals, different little things like that. That's somebody. I don't know what that is, but so if you want the most versatile bass synth pedal and filters, because the C4 synth isn't just synth. You know, you also get distortion, 13 different distortions, I think 28 or 26 different filters. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of filters. You get a harmonizer pedal, you get a sequencers, you get the enveloper, which will change the way your bass sounds in different capacity and helps you shape the filters and stuff like that. You get an LFO, You know, you can also run an expression pedal into it. You know, so even if you wanted to use that in conjunction with other pedals, so this is actually the MXR. I mean, the MXR Poly Blue running into the Source Audio C4 synth, but I have it on a filter and a phaser. So now you can just run it. You know what I'm saying? You can add a lot of the bass synth sound textures are gonna come from the distortion. Other than the stuff that's just built into the actual oscillator, you know, sound is going to be that distortion and filter are going to make the biggest difference in how things are sound. So, you know, if you notice, I keep quite a few filters around different flavors because filters change a lot. I love this blur here for that's my favorite analog filter sound. Just the creamiest, warmest sound. That's another electro harmonics pedal. But you got some really nice ones in here as well in the C4 synth. So let me see. Included a few of these. And say you needed some distortion in there a little bit more, you could easily just come into the app and turn up the mix. Without the poly blue. And you can easily on the you can easily turn this into a synth bass sound by simply changing that to mono. Taking it down an octave. That's why I love the C4 synth. It's just self-contained. Like you can literally do everything you would need to shape that sound the right way within the pedal, you know. And that makes, of course, you can add other things. You know, you can add other things, but do you have to? Nah, because it's got tremolo, it's got detune in there, it's got distortions, phasers, all that stuff built into there. So, you know, I would recommend. If you want, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck synth pedal by itself, synth pedal is going to be the Source Audio C4 synth. You know, I've heard good things about what's that synth pedal? It's another one of them high price pedals, like $400 or $500. But for 200 and some bucks, the Source Audio C4 synth, you really ain't gonna beat it in that price range. None of the other ones are even close. So I would say definitely don't forget that pack is available on my Patreon. If anytime you want to go and grab that, it's right there available for you. And not only that, but if you would like to get any of my packs, I have the pack for the MS-60B Plus by Zoom, the 20 pack on there. Oh, sorry about this, guys. And I also have packs for the Zoom B6. I got 11 different preamps available, packs available for the ToneX series pedal and software, as well as my personal preset pack off of my ToneX One. And, I need you guys to go grab this stuff when you get a chance. Hit that like button, subscribe wherever you are. I appreciate you hanging with me. But, yeah, Synth Bass Day. And, even if you needed that 70s synth type sound, I even got you covered on that. And you can open that up. It's definitely, the C4 synth is something special there. You can definitely that's like closer to that Moog 70 sound right there. But you got some of my favorite. Of course, if you got some D-tune lying around. Get some really nice, warm bass sounds out of that thing, man. I love it personally. Even when you're listening to it side by side with other synth bass, they could definitely do different types of sounds like that as well. I just haven't got. I think I might just go through this motif right here and just recreate some of these sounds, because it's definitely doable with this pedal here. So, yeah, definitely check it out. some nice bass synths out of that. And like I said, the main things to focus on is your octave, or your main oscillator sound, whatever that's going to be, whether it's a sawtooth, square, or sine wave. In terms of octave pedals, different octave pedals get you closer to different types of oscillator sounds, in my opinion. You know, the OC5 kind of has like a sine wave type sound, you know, so, you know, it's a nice way to get some nice, clean, clear, heavy bass sound. But if you want to get to that saw sound, a saw wave type sound, which is more of like a, see, got one knowing here. Like that. That's the grittier sound. Matter of fact, I got one. That sound, you're gonna have to get some distortion and a filter on there as well. And like I said, in terms of distortions, and so you fuzzes, overdrives, and distortions. Particularly for this application, I like overdrives personally for bass synths. That's just my preference. Overdrives or bit crushers. And with the filters, I prefer low pass filters, either 2, 4, or 6 pole. Thanks to the C4 Synth, which has a 6 pole filter in it. So these are all like, once you start combining those, and then you bring down the cutoff, the higher frequencies, you'll cut some of those out with the filter, and then you're pretty much good to go. That's pretty much all you need to know about creating bass synths for bass. And like I said, if you want octave pedals and stuff to track better, cut your bass frequencies, boost your high mids, things like that, allow the pedals to track better. Then from there, you don't really need your dry signal for this. I would say, leave the dry signal out and simply add octave down as your primary sound and a little bit of octave up to just cut through the mix and make sure that the notes don't get lost in just the synth bass sound, because that can happen too. But if you want just a straight up, just a foundation sound, no octave up, then find you a nice warm overdrive or a nice bit crusher that has a nice sound to it. Then you run that into, like I said, any different low pass filters, stuff like that, envelope filters, stuff like the blurs, which has a LFO built-in LFO to it, and all this different stuff. So all that stuff combined and then after that, you want to still run it into after you run it into so you have octave, let's just say octave, overdrive, filter, modulation. So again, chorus, phaser, flanger, tremolo, and vibrato. And then finish that up running into some sort of preamp to shape the sound. Either you need a little less booty on it or a little more booty, either one. Synth bass can get pretty, you don't want to have too much bottom on there. You want to, nice. You might have to clean it up, so the EQ helps afterwards, and then run that into a nice compressor, just limiter type thing that stomps down on it and makes it a little bit more even. So that lets it have a nice warm full sound, but not be going overboard with those sub frequencies either. So all that stuff right there, and then bam, you got you a synth bass sound. So in a nutshell, you can just grab you a keyboard, but keyboards aren't cheap, and you have to also know how to play piano, and everybody doesn't know how to play piano. So having these options, and like I said, if you don't want to buy all those pedals separately, just get you something like an MS-60B Plus or a Zoom B6, or you get one of those, and then if you want to enhance that, you can get a Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus, and that'll give you 12 slots altogether to do whatever you want, running through amp models, running through compressors, running through EQs, running through modulations, filters, distortions, and don't be afraid. Excuse me. Don't be afraid to try different things. Like you might run it through double filters. You know, you might do distortion filter, bit crusher filter. You know what I'm saying? You might do something like that, and it'll give you different sounds. You know, so these are just different. That you know, it might not have worked with the pedal by itself, but combining it with something else, it could potentially do something for you. No, I don't ever tune my bass. I just tune my bass standard, and I always play like that. And I don't fool around with all that extra tuning around stuff, man. The more you change your instrument, it's the more stuff you gotta remember. I mean, you could be learning another instrument instead of retuning your instrument every 5 seconds. Like you know, it's if you just learn to play it the way it is, you only have to. Technique is doing something the same way every single time, and not doing too much variation from that. So I would say no. I don't ever tune my bass to anything but standard tuning, and I play like that. And I focus on better technique, better musical ideas, more knowledge in the actual applications of music versus tuning. But yeah, feel free to do, experiment with whatever you would like. Hey, I learned 10 other instruments before I learned bass. So, you know, what do I know? But yeah, so those are your synth bass options that I came up with for you guys today. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe for me. If you want to leave a tip, you can do that with the Cash App, Super Chat. If you would like to support the channel long term, you can do that through Patreon. And if you would like to have any of my packs of presets, you can find them all on Patreon. And again, I got packs for the Source Audio C4 synth, 38 preset pack for that, 38 different bass synths. Zoom MS-60B Plus and Zoom B6 each have their own 20 pack of presets. And then you have the ToneX series pedal and software, which I have 11 different preamp packs available for that, as well as my actual personal preset pack from off of my ToneX one, which includes IRs, custom IRs on there. So make sure y'all lock in, and that way you know when I'm going live and all that good stuff. But I definitely appreciate y'all hanging with me, supporting me. It's amazing to have y'all aboard. Please feel free to reach out and comments and all that good stuff. But I'm gonna catch you guys